is you're not going to become a millionaire buying Bitcoin this bull run cycle. Unless you have $500,000 and Bitcoin does it 2x from here. Most people that are watching this video don't have $500,000 to just chuck at Bitcoin. And even if they did, there's smarter plays in the space with very specific altcoins. Here's a prediction from Tom Lee talking about what he expects Bitcoin to go to by the end of 2025.
95% of all Bitcoin's been mined, but 95% of the world doesn't own Bitcoin. So I just think that there's still a huge demand versus supply imbalance, meaning there's a lot more potential buyers of Bitcoin over the next 10 years. And so I think there's a lot of upside into year end.
Into your like 150 target?
Yeah, 150, maybe 200, even 250 this year.
What? 150 to 200 to even 250. And what's your, you don't have a terminal price on that, do you?
Well, it's, I think at a minimum it should have the same network value as gold. Mm-hmm. And if you look at above ground gold, it's probably 23 trillion. So that would be, 1.2 million for Bitcoin. But I think Bitcoin is more valuable than gold. So, gold, Bitcoin could be 2 million, 3 million long term. Even higher.
So if Bitcoin goes to $200,000 this cycle, that's a little under a 2x from here. And if all you have is $1,000, that's like turning $1,000 into max $2,000. Now, if Bitcoin goes over $200,000, let's say it goes to $300,000, you're turning $1,000 into $3,000. That's not something you can pass down to your kids. So this leads us to altcoin season and what most people have wrong about the industry, because phase one from previous cycles is Bitcoin moves first, liquidity flows into Bitcoin causing massive price surges, and Bitcoin leads the charge. We saw that during the first phase of this bull run cycle, while a lot of altcoins lagged behind. Bitcoin did exceptionally well. For example, if we look at Bitcoin's market cap dominance chart at the top of the screen, since November of 2022, Bitcoin rallied from 39% in the industry, and it's still in a bull market, forming higher highs and higher lows, absorbing liquidity from the rest of the industry, sitting at 64%. And for those of you that are new, what that means is the market cap of the whole industry is about $3.29 trillion. So if Bitcoin's dominance is roughly 63 or 64% of that, that means Bitcoin's market cap is over $2 trillion. Second up is Ethereum at 300 billion, and then so on and so forth down from there. And then there's a phase overlap where money flows into Ethereum, but it struggles to keep up with Bitcoin. Eventually, Ethereum goes back and forth with Bitcoin and then starts outperforming it for phase two. Now, here's where the problem comes into effect, and the reason why 99% of people have been wrong about this bull run cycle thus far is we actually skipped phase two of the market cycle, and we went right to phase three and phase four, where regardless of market cap, some altcoins with strong fundamentals were having their pumps. For example, if we look at Ethereum over the past year, Ethereum is down 31%. And since the bear market low of about $1,200, Ethereum is up barely a 2x from there. Or a project like Sui that is further down the list over the past year is up 229%. And since Sui launched on May of 2023, is up over 3,000%, which is a 30x. Also, we see projects like Ondo since January of 2024, currently up over 300%. And even to the all-time high, that was over 900%. That's a 9x. So if you learn how to spot these projects before they explode, then you can compound your money a lot quicker. But you also have to be careful because a lot of new projects can completely flop and drop 99%. But the main reason why the majority of investors are wrong about this cycle is because they're relying on old models that worked back in 2021 or 2017 that aren't applicable today, because the last few bull run cycles were driven by retail fear of missing out and altcoin surges, but the 2025 landscape is very different. We have institutional adoption happening with companies like BlackRock, Fidelity, Van Eck, ARK, 21 Shares through Bitcoin ETFs. Corporate investments and regulatory shifts have brought in more institutional capital, causing a massive misjudgment from the majority of investors expecting a retail-driven euphoria, while institutions are dominating the market, leading to mistimed entries, over-leveraged bets, or chasing overhyped coins that underperform. So based on this model right here, theoretically, the path to alt season in the past has gone from Bitcoin to Ethereum to large cap to alt season. So from after phase one of Bitcoin, we're supposed to go to Ethereum, right? Well, if we look at the market cap dominance for Bitcoin, that hasn't happened yet. Ethereum has bled out compared to Bitcoin, while Bitcoin has absorbed the majority of the liquidity from the industry. So on the bottom of the screen, you can see since December of 2021, Ethereum has been underperforming while Bitcoin has been outperforming the rest of the industry. So how long will this last for before Ethereum experiences a bull run and we see that rotation from Bitcoin into Ethereum? Well, let's pair this up with the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator that I've showed you guys in previous videos, which basically measures the days until the next halving puts a color code from bright red to dark purple and has the stock to flow line that shows where Bitcoin has been at each phase in the cycle relative to the line. So for example, right now, we are well below the stock to flow model, which shows that the price is undervalued in comparison to the stock to flow at $348, almost $350,000. So Bitcoin has a lot of catching up to do. Whereas at this phase in the cycle, as you guys can see, we've transitioned from dark orange to yellow, and we're getting ready to transition to this pukish color green before going to light green. And so the last bull run cycle, where we were when that was happening, was roughly right around here for Bitcoin, when Bitcoin's price rallied up to $40,000 and then crashed down to about $29,000 and then experienced the rally to the all-time high at light green. Whereas the cycle before then, Bitcoin rallied up here to about $3,000, crashed down to 3,700, and then experienced this explosive run past the stock to flow line, which is at roughly 3,700, and went drastically above it to about $19,600. Whereas the cycle before then, we went even further above the stock to flow line by a multiple of 6.3x. So each cycle, Bitcoin's performance has actually done less and less above the stock to flow line. For example, this bull run cycle, it performed about a 5.2x above the stock to flow line at the peak in December of 2017, whereas the peak in 2021 was only 1.5x above the stock to flow line. And the reason for this is very simple, and that's saturation, because it takes more money for Bitcoin to grow, and it takes more liquidity for the market cap to grow than it did in previous cycles. Whereas back in 2012, Bitcoin was only $12, its market cap was much smaller than it is right now, whereas now the market cap for Bitcoin is over $2 trillion. And to the people that say market cap doesn't matter, yes, it does matter. Also, volume and liquidity matters. The amount of tokens out there matters. It all matters because it takes more volume, it takes more liquidity to grow the market cap. It's very simple, and because of saturation, there's over 16 million cryptocurrencies on CoinMarketCap alone. We've seen major dilution in the markets, and the reason why it's turned into a massive player versus player game with low market cap projects where you see them pump really quick, and then if you're not out of those projects within an hour or two, you get absolutely wrecked. So the rotation game of musical chairs in crypto is a lot more brutal this cycle, and it's a lot more difficult to make money. But there is still hope that this bull run is not over yet, because of what we've seen happen every single time where the bull market peak has come in, roughly 800 to 1,000 days until the next halving. So based on where we're at right now, we're not quite there just yet. But based on Bitcoin's fear and greed index, we are at 72 right now, closer to extreme greed. And as you guys can see on the chart, each time that we've experienced a massive rally like what we've experienced over the past 30 days for Bitcoin, it's not the best move, it's not the smartest move to buy into these types of rallies. It's best to buy the fear. For example, you guys can see from January of this year, when Bitcoin dropped from like $106,000 all the way till April, over the course of 3 months, the fear and greed index dropped to 24. Same thing right here from March of 2024. The score was at 81. Bitcoin's price was at $72,000, and we dropped all the way down here to $53,000. The score dropped to 22. So it's very simple. If you buy when everyone is in extreme fear and you sell when everyone is in extreme greed, that's how you separate yourself from the majority. And as you can see during the last market cycle top, Bitcoin was upwards of $57,000 when the score was at 91. Even at the peak, we were at 75 in greed to extreme greed. So right now, with the score at about 64, I would expect there to be some chop over the next 1 to 2 months. And if you guys didn't watch my video that I made yesterday, if you own XRP, SUI, or Ondo, or virtually any other of the large market cap projects, I explained where we are in this market cycle compared to the past for Bitcoin. And even though it's not the exact same as previous market cycles, there are some similarities that we can notice on key indicators like the relative strength index, the stochastic RSI,